Now, no matter what YouTuber says
There we go, Mike.
or what you might read online, when it comes to Google Ads, the only thing that is constant is change. And unfortunately, as more and more e-commerce store owners begin to use Google Ads, there obviously is going to be a very big increase in competition, which is then going to change all of the strategies which have been working in the past. So with that in mind, let's start off with the first strategy that I will be using, which is technically a bit new. And this strategy is the competition-based shopping and search campaigns.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
What do I mean by this exactly? We know about branded search campaigns, we know about standard shopping campaigns, performance max campaigns for cold traffic. What exactly is a competitor-based shopping or search campaign? Essentially, with a competitor-based shopping or search campaign, we are trying to get our competitors' market share from them. Essentially, we're trying to steal it from them. Now, in the real world, stealing is obviously a very bad thing. I recommend everybody to not even think about stealing in the real world. However, with Google Ads, it's technically not immoral to go ahead and steal your competitors' traffic, simply because at some point of time, they will do it to you if you don't do it in the first place. So the way that a competitor search campaign works is the opposite way a branded search campaign would work. So with a branded search campaign, which you guys see here on my screen, I have two different ad groups within this branded search campaign. First one, brand exact. Second one, brand broad match modifier. Now, if this were to be a competitor search campaign, instead of having my own branded keywords in here, I would simply write in within brackets all of my competitors' URLs or all of my competitors' brand names, and then target them via a bid limit. Now, the bid limit and the bid strategy itself entirely depends on you. However, the important thing that you must do is you must write your competitors' brand names right over here. So that's essentially what a competitor search campaign is. And what this campaign will then do is it will start ranking your ad copies for that keyword, whatever you have inserted within this ad group. And obviously, if it's a branded search term, then whenever somebody types in your brand's keyword on Google, your ad will show up. The main thing you want to understand with this, the strategy, is with the ad copy, you need to make sure that you are not directly talking bad about your competitor, because nobody wants to do business with a brand that just goes and badmouths everybody else that's not their own brand. So instead, what you should do is you should talk about why somebody should buy from you versus your competitor. Maybe you have better shipping times, maybe you have a better quality product, or maybe your service in general is better. Whatever the case may be sure to include that within your ad copy. That's the best way to make your branded search campaigns work. And obviously, you don't want to just target the exact phrase match for your competitors' keywords. You also want to do things like broad keyword targeting, maybe broad match modifier. How you do it is entirely up to you. The important thing again is to have your competitor search terms ranked right over here. But that's essentially the first new strategy I'll be implementing for a lot of the e-commerce brands I'm handling. Strategy number 2, this is the PMax high bid and low bid campaign. Now, hold on, I know you're probably confused thinking, what did I just say? However, the reality is with performance max campaigns, you can actually lay them out as you would a normal standard shopping campaign. And here's exactly what I mean. So one of my most OG strategies that I used to recommend right from the beginning was the standard 2-1 launch strategy. Essentially, that strategy was where you have 2 general testing campaigns and 1 branded search campaigns. Both the general standard shopping campaigns were run at either a high bid or a low bid. It would be an either or situation. But I've started to implement that 2-1 launch strategy more for performance max campaigns as well. And here's exactly how to do it. So essentially, you want to kind of have 2 different PMax campaigns as well for this strategy to work, and you want to have all the products, the same products within both the PMax campaigns. The only difference for both of these PMax campaigns will be within the settings for the target ROAS percentage. And what you want to do for the target ROAS percentages for the high bid campaign, you want to set this target ROAS percentage to be essentially not checked or to be at a very low number. And make sure if you do set a number that it is backed by data and not just you randomly going and setting a random number. That's the first way to set up the high bid campaign, because when you set no target ROAS here, or when you set a very low target ROAS percentage, what happens is this campaign then starts to function like a high bid campaign as a standard shopping campaign would. So that's essentially what we want to happen with this PMAX campaign. The next Performance Max campaign would run at a very high target ROAS. So that could be maybe 500%, 600%, 700%. The number that you choose is up to you, again, based off of real data. And this second campaign is gonna work as our low bid campaign. So getting the low hanging fruits, getting the best possible audience, the highest ROAS possible, return on ad spend possible. Again, because it's such a high return on ad spend percentage shows in here, it's gonna barely spend any budget on a daily basis. So just keep that in mind. But these two strategies mimic the 2-1 launch strategy perfectly, and that's why we want to have all of the products within both of these campaigns so that both go through either the high bid campaign or the low bid campaign. But that brings us to the third strategy on the list, which is the dynamic search ad collection versus homepage strategy. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I love dynamic search campaigns because they reduce the amount of work needed to make a search campaign work. But the right way to do a dynamic search campaign in 2023 has changed completely from what it used to be in 2022. So with this dynamic search campaign right here, as you can see, we're running it at a 6.13x ROAS for this e-commerce brand. And the new way to run the dynamic search campaign is actually to have multiple different ad groups. So 2 different ad groups right now. We only have one for this specific DSA campaign. We will be adding another one very shortly. But what I've been seeing work the best with the dynamic search campaign is have one ad group targeting the homepage only and another ad group targeting individual collection pages. The best way to A/B test a dynamic search campaign is via these 2 ad groups, because not all accounts perform the best when a DSA campaign is targeted towards the main homepage, and not all ad accounts do the best when a DSA is targeted just towards those collection pages. So to kind of test both of these things at once to make sure that you're running in the best possible situation when it comes to a DSA, be sure to launch 2 different ad groups, one for just the homepage, the other one for just the collection pages, and run ads for them. Now, the copywriting, all of that stuff, settings, it can be essentially the same. It doesn't have to be different. The only thing that should be different within both of these ad groups for the DSA will be where you're targeting, whether it's the homepage or the collection pages. So very powerful strategy I'll be using in 2023 for a lot of the e-commerce brands I'm handling. Let's move on to the 4th strategy on the list, which is a best sellers search campaign. Now, again, similarly to a DSA, a bestseller search campaign only really works if you have proper copywriting in place. So right now, with this bestseller search campaign, as you see here on my screen, we're running at a 0.68x ROAS. However, the thing is, this search campaign was just recently launched and it will take time to become profitable. That's just the unfortunate downside of a search campaign. However, launching a general search campaign, it's not dynamic in this situation. Just a standard search campaign targeting only a best-selling product is another way to scale. You don't have to rely on shopping only. You don't have to rely on PMAX campaigns only, because with this search campaign, you should be getting a lot of extra sales if you do all of the setup properly. Now, to make this search campaign work, you need to make sure you're not just targeting the exact match keywords for your best-selling product, nor are you targeting just a broad match and just getting a whole bunch of random people coming onto your website. Instead, you should have a mix of all 3 different match types to ensure you're getting the best possible balanced traffic out there. But again, give a bestseller search campaign a try. You can do it yourself or you can have one of your team members do it. The most important thing you need to keep in mind is it takes time for a bestseller search campaign to really start working properly, unlike a DSA campaign. This brings me to the next point on the list, the next strategy, which is an international all products PMAX campaign. Now, that's a handful to say, but it's really not that difficult. So when it comes to Performance Max campaigns, I've always said only launch a PMAX campaign in a given country if you have enough data, meaning enough sales within that country. However, in 2023 and onwards, one thing I'm already starting to get good results with is launching a Performance Max campaign for all of your products within another given country. So for example, with this ad account right here, we have one PMAX campaign running for the United States only. It's running at a 2.30x ROAS within this month. We have another PMAX campaign, and the way that this strategy would work is you would have the same products within both of these PMAX campaigns, but the only difference would be the targeting. So for the international based PMAX campaign, I recommend you put all of the products in there if possible from your store and just run that PMAX campaign within a different country. And you should be choosing only one different country for this to work properly. Now, the reason why this is working so well in 2023 and onwards is simply because if you target all of the products compared to just targeting a specific collection or just targeting certain winning products, is now there's a lot of extra data for the campaign to work with within this new given country. This would not be possible if you were just targeting a select few products within that given country, because there's a lot of factors that could go wrong, such as not having enough search volume for those few products, those products not being winning products within that country, even though they're winners in the USA or other countries. So you want to make sure you target all of the products within this PMAX campaign that gets targeted to this new country. That's the new way for international countries when it comes to Performance Max. Let's move on to the second to the final way to scale your Google Ads campaigns, the next strategy, which is display retargeting campaigns. Now, technically, this is not a brand new strategy because I have been using this for quite some time now. However, I still see way too many e-commerce brands not utilize this properly. As a result, they're losing a lot of extra sales that they could be getting if they were retargeting properly. Now, with this specific remarketing campaign we have going on right here, this is a dynamic display retargeting campaign. It has gotten us one sale already, and you can see there's 3 different ad groups within this display campaign. The first one is for all the people that viewed the product. The second one, if we go back, we can see the second one was for the people that added to cart within the last 30 days. The third one, all of those people that initiated a checkout in the last 30 days but did not purchase. And each of these is running on a different bid. The way you set up these bids, entirely up to you. The main thing you want to get right is you want to have a display campaign for retargeting purposes only going at any given time. It's just the best way to really run those kinds of campaigns. And although it might not do the best job at getting the most possible sales, it still gets a decent amount of sales. So as you can see right here, we're running this campaign at a 6.07x ROAS. So that's better than nothing. And even though it's gotten one sale, it was just recently started. So over time, it should definitely work up to a good amount of revenue. But that's sort of the next strategy on the list, which is to run proper display remarketing campaigns. Let's move on now to the final strategy on the list, which is to run standard shopping campaigns for only the low ROI products, return on ad spend products. But the trick here is to run these products and this campaign with a target ROAS set. Now, what do I mean by this exactly? So I have pulled up this campaign on my screen right here. It is currently a standard shopping campaign only, and it is for all of those products which failed to get any type of result in our other testing campaign. So instead of just blindly just throwing them out in the garbage, what you want to do is you want to start a brand new standard shopping campaign and start it with target ROAS chosen as the bidding strategy instead of choosing manual CPC or maximize click. So no manual bidding in any way. You want to instead do target ROAS, and for the target ROAS, you want to set something that's very stable and something your ad account on the higher end has already achieved. So for this e-commerce brand right here, we set this low ROI standard shopping campaign at a 300% return on ad spend, and we just put all of the products that did not perform within this. So the beauty about this campaign is it starts to actually get those products shown to a higher quality of audience. Now, this is not technically possible with the Performance Max campaign simply because there's not enough things we can control with the PMax like keywords and all of that stuff. So when it comes to a standard shopping campaign, having the campaign run this way really does help, simply because now you, along with the target ROAS, you can also control things like keywords and so on and so forth. So this low ROI campaign that we have running, it has gotten us a return on ad spend on some days as up to even a 6x ROAS. So it does work, even though it's not fully consistent. As you can see, there's days when it just goes to about $1 in ad spend. That's gonna happen. It's not something you can really stop. The main thing is that it gets you sales for those bad products which you would have already excluded anyways, and it actually starts getting you results with those products, even though it's not, again, very consistent. But that is essentially the last strategy I will be implementing for my e-commerce brands as well as my clients' e-commerce brands under my Google Ads agency, Your Marketing, which if you're currently doing $40,000 or more per month in revenue, you need just a little bit of extra help to scale your e-commerce brand to the next level. Go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and book a free call with me to see how we can possibly work together and make that happen. But watch this video on my left or this video on my right to take your e-commerce brand's journey to the next level.